Hello, this is a video on how to migrate Cisco ACE configuration onto Stingray Traffic Manager. I'm Vinay Reddy, Technical Marketing, Riverbed Technology. Migrating Cisco ACE configuration onto Stingray Traffic Manager can be accomplished with 4 easy steps. Step 1. Make sure Perl version 5.10 or higher is installed on the system where you are going to run the migration Perl scripts. It is recommended to run these scripts on Linux system. Next, download the Perl scripts from GitHub repository as a zip file. Unzip the file to extract all the relevant Perl scripts. Now you will see me going through step 1. So I have logged into the system where I'm going to download the Perl scripts onto. Now if I look at the Perl version here, it is 5.10. So the minimum requirement is version 5.10 or higher. So next step is to download the Perl scripts from GitHub repository as a zip file. So I'm going to go to the link that is highlighted here on the browser, github.com/riverbed-tme/Cisco ACE to Riverbed Stingray. Then I'm going to download the zip file and extract the zip file, or unzip it to extract the zip file. Now this would create a directory called Cisco ACE to Riverbed Stingray master, as you see on the screen. So this concludes step 1. So now let's go to step 2. In this step, we'll get all the relevant Cisco ACE configuration onto the host system where the Perl scripts are downloaded in step 1. Currently, the migration scripts support migration of one ACE context at a time. So if you want to migrate more than one context onto Stingray Traffic Manager, then you need to repeat steps 2 to 4 for each ACE context. Briefly, the process would be: export Cisco ACE configuration, one context. Export SSL keys and cert, if any. These SSL files should be in PEM format. Then import the configuration files and SSL files to the host system. Make a directory for SSL files and copy all the SSL key and cert files to above created directory. Now you will see me going through step 2. So if you look at this directory here, I have already copied 2 zip files. One is ace2-stm.zip and the other is ace_ssl.zip. Now ace-2-stm.zip file consists of 3 sample configuration. Think of them as 3 individual contexts, ACE context configuration files. And ace_ssl.zip contains all the relevant SSL keys and certificate files for those contexts. Now I'm going to copy these onto the Cisco ACE to Riverbed Stingray master directory where my Perl scripts are extracted. So I'm going to move the Cisco ACE configuration files onto the directory, and next I will move the ACE SSL related files onto the directory. Now in this directory now I have all the Perl scripts along with Cisco ACE configuration files. I'm going to extract the Cisco ACE configuration files by unzipping those files. So as you see, the configuration files that are extracted are 3 of them. One is called sbig.txt, the other is sampl_config.txt, the other is sample_ssl.txt. The next file I'm going to unzip is the SSL related files. So if you see, it has extracted those files and it has created a directory called ace_ssl. Now this concludes step 2. Now let's look at step 3. So in step 3, we'll run the main Perl script called zImportAce.pl. At the prompt, enter Cisco ACE configuration file. The second prompt, enter SSL cert and key directory, if any, or else press just enter key. And a third prompt, enter traffic manager's hostname, where you will migrate the configuration onto. The Perl script generates following files once it is done through extracting every line of Cisco ACE configuration. The files are log.txt file, which contains lines of Cisco ACE configuration that is not migrated, and these lines start with a exclamation mark at the end, which means that those lines are not migrated. The second file is conf.tar file, which is the traffic manager configuration file. Now you will see me go through step 3. So if you look at the directory now, I have 3 configuration files called sampl_config.txt, sample_ssl.txt, and sbig.txt. Now I'm going to run the Perl script zImportAce.pl, and I'm going to import Cisco ACE configuration called sampl_config.txt. So I'm going to key in the file name. Now this configuration doesn't have any SSL configuration in it, so I'm just going to press enter, and then I'm going to key in the name of the Stingray traffic manager where I'm going to migrate this configuration onto. Now you will notice that there was a line that popped out when the script finished, and you will see that if the script sees any unusual configurations that needs attention, it will pop out on the screen. And here it is just saying that one of the virtual server that is configured on ACE, the Cisco ACE configuration, the Stingray traffic manager virtual server is configured with port 80, and it wants to make sure if that is the case, because in Cisco ACE you could configure a virtual server to listen on any port, and you can backend server can listen on port 80, and that's how Stingray knows that the virtual server also needs to go on port 80, because in Stingray's configuration, virtual server needs to listen on a specific port. It cannot listen on any port. So once this is done, if you look at the directory now, you will see conf.tar file and log.txt file. Now if you look at log.txt file, let's look at log.txt file to make sure if there were any scripts that are lines that were not migrated. So if you look at the lines beginning with exclamation mark are the ones that were not migrated onto the Stingray traffic manager. So if you look at one of the examples I want to go into read out to is this one here called match virtual address equals RTSP. So current script doesn't support RTSP protocol migration, so hence those configuration lines were not migrated. And some of the other lines that were not migrated are layer 7 rules. Basically this involves one creating traffic scripts, so the Perl script doesn't generate a traffic script automatically, so you have to manually configure traffic scripts for those. So this concludes step 3. Now let's look at step 4. So in step 4, we're going to copy the conf.tar file to traffic manager where you want to import the ACE configuration onto. Then run the command zconf import with no verify and feed in the conf.tar file to it. Then log in to the web GUI of the traffic manager and verify if the configuration is imported and tweak any settings if needed. So now you will see me going through step 4 and making sure the configuration is verified. So here I'm on the Stingray Traffic Manager where I want to import the configuration onto. So I'm going to SCP the file conf.tar file onto this directory. So once this is done, I should have conf.tar file. Now I'm going to run the zconf command with the option no verify. Now once this is done, this should make sure that the configuration is imported onto Stingray Traffic Manager, but we will verify it by going to the web GUI. So if you look at the web GUI now, so it looks like it has imported SLB WIP and a pool called web pool. Now on the offset of looking at the screen, you will see that there are some error messages. That is because my Stingray Traffic Manager doesn't have some of the interfaces and no backend server, so that's why it is not able to raise the traffic IPs. So but otherwise the configuration has been migrated successfully. So let's look at the config summary first to make sure. There is one virtual server and it has a virtual IP 172.16.5.101, and you have a bunch of nodes here. So it looks like the configuration migration script has done its job. It has migrated the configuration of ACE, and after running zconf, it has been imported onto the Stingray Traffic Manager successfully. So this was a simple configuration. Now I want to show you a complex or a big ACE configuration migration, which involves a lot of SSL offload, virtual servers, lot of persistence, and lots of pools. So let's look at that demo. Before that, I want to clean up the system first to make it clean. So I'm going to restore a clean backup which I had, just to make sure. So once you go to the home screen here, you won't see any services. So let's go run the script again with the input to the Perl script as a big ACE configuration. So let's do that. Now I have sbig.txt, which is a big configuration file. Before that, let me delete the old configuration file. Now I'm going to run the same Perl script and give it the big ACE file. Since this contains SSL configuration, I'm going to give the directory where all the SSL keys and certs are, and then I'm going to give the same name of the traffic manager where it's going to migrate. So now it should show me that there are two files which are relevant. One is conf.tar and other is log.txt. So we'll look at log.txt just to make sure everything has been migrated hopefully as per what the ACE configuration is. Some of the lines, as I mentioned earlier, some of the configuration elements cannot be migrated via Perl script but can be manually done. So these are those lines, like especially the intervals for the probes and stuff like that. So we'll go all the way down. Sticky timeouts have to be manually configured, and replicate sticky, which is another line which was not migrated by the Perl script, is because by default when you have Stingray Traffic Managers in a clustered setup, automatically the persistence connections or persistence entries are synced, so you don't have to worry about that. So rest everything looks fine. So I've already copied the conf.tar file over to the STM where I'm going to migrate the ACE configuration onto. So now I'm going to run the zconf command to make sure that the ACE configuration is imported onto Stingray now. So once this is done, we can verify it by going to the web GUI. Now we will see all the virtual servers and the pools that have been migrated. So to quickly look at the config summary, you would see this bunch of virtual servers that are migrated. And now if you look at the traffic IPs, you would see a bunch of traffic IPs that are migrated. And then let's look at catalog items, which are just to make sure that the SSL certs and keys are migrated. So you see there are 4 SSL cert and key pairs that are migrated. Then let's look at monitors to see if monitors have been migrated. So if you see there are a bunch of monitors that are migrated, let's look at a simple one. JBoss probe, it's simple, it's going to JM console, so probably it's some JBoss application. That's the URL. So monitors are migrated. Now let's look at some persistences. So if you see there are a bunch of persistences that have been migrated. Let's look at what is app3. It's an IP based persistence, so probably it was configured for sticky IP. Let's look at some other what is this cookie. So there is a J2EE, so that means it's a Java application, some kind of Oracle application, so it's based on JSession ID, so Java application. So that's the persistence, it has been migrated. So it looks like overall the configuration has been migrated. So if you want to tweak and tune any of these parameters, you can do manually, or you can write scripts and associate that to the virtual servers. But for most part, the configuration has been migrated successfully. So this ends step 4. So thank you for watching the video.